The known galaxy includes nearly a billion inhabited star systems, from uncharted settlements set up by smugglers to megalopolis worlds where scarcely a meter of untouched ground remains. For a better understanding of the immensity of the galaxy, it has been divided into regions. The center of the galaxy. Despite being home to the oldest civilization in galactic history, a part of the core remains unexplored due to the main characteristic of this region. Travel within the deep core varies from difficult to impossible. With the stars so close together, even a slight miscalculation means collision and death. Very few secure hyperspace routes are known, and they need to be constantly updated. For millennia, the dominant world of the deep core was Empress Theta. Thus, the discovery of carbonite deposits turned Empress Theta into a galactic power. The core is the source of the Republic, the birthplace of the human species, and the undisputed place of galactic culture, finance, high-tech, education, and fine arts. Immigration into the core is a constant stream, as billions of ambitious hopefuls from outlier regions follow its bright glow in pursuit of wealth and fame. Not everyone succeeds. Core living is far more expensive than anywhere else in the galaxy. And even the glitziest core worlds are marred by wretched slums. During the reign of the Rakata and after the fall of the Infinite Empire, Coruscant sent waves of ships to various worlds such as Alsakan, Metellus, and Alderaan. With certain, the core worlds were the cradle of the Republic. Coruscant, Alderaan, Corellia, and Jinjump were proclaimed as the Tetrahedron, since they simulated the four vertices that shaped the galactic culture. Only when compared with the core worlds, the colonies do they seem anything less than the pinnacle of the galactic civilization. The region contains many of the galaxy's wealthiest worlds, from urban worlds dedicated to industry and trade, to garden planets whose every meter is carefully cultivated. The settlement of the colonies began when explorers from wealthy core worlds landed on new planets and sought to build them into mini-empires. With communications still slow, most of these early empires unraveled within generations. In casual phraseology, the civilized galaxy is often split into the core and the rim, with the latter consisting of the expansion region and parts beyond. The inner rim is therefore the outermost ring of the greater core. The Republic's earliest colonization boom spilled out into the inner rim at the start of the Great Manifest period, representing the farthest fringe of the Coruscant settlement efforts to that date. Due to their closer proximity to the hub of the galactic civilization in the core worlds, inner rimmers gradually developed a condescending attitude towards those of the outer galaxy, but were looked down upon by the inhabitants of the core and colonies. Luckless, forsaken, accursed. These are just some of the adjectives used to describe the expansion region and its often tragic history. The region had troubles before it even had a name. In the early centuries of galactic expansion, many industrial guilds and corporations exploited material-rich worlds, stripping this region of its resources to boost the economy of the core and colonies, with hundreds of species reduced to penury. If critics were asked about this territory, they will describe it as a place containing absolutely nothing of interest. Surprisingly, few mid-rimmers will disagree. They are proud that their corner of space nurtures plain-spoken and hard-working folk such as themselves. They are convinced that the outsiders who make jokes about their simple lives will never appreciate the honest pleasures of firm handshakes and promises kept. Mid-rim colonization occurred at a leisurely pace over several millennia, resulting in a very well-ordered region whose residents had plenty of room to spread out. The Outer Rim territories are the largest region of the galaxy, the least explored, and the most diverse in terms of population and culture. As this is the territory farthest from the center of the galactic civilization, the hand of government has historically been the lightest in the Outer Rim. And for millennia, dissidents, pilgrims, and freedom seekers have fled the galaxy's more populated places for a new start. But while the Outer Rim has offered greater freedom, that freedom has come with a price. The Outer Rim is so far from Coruscant that the institutions of galactic civilization had often been little more than theoretical concepts, with communications and the rule of law unreliable or wholly absent. And this far from the prying eyes of the core, terrible crimes often go unseen or unchecked. While space is not strictly a region, nor is it a formal government label, it's a name applied to an unsettled galactic fringe and any similar territory, with negligible colonization or industrial development. This definition means that the borders of wild space are highly changeable. The distinction between wild space and the unknown regions is a simple one. Wild space has been explored, however minimally, with the findings recorded in the official logs, while the unknown regions have not. In addition to the division by ring-shaped regions, these can be divided into more specific areas by an artificial boundary for political, economic, and military organization. Just as the wheel and the road join cities on primitive planets, the hyperdrive and the hyperlane needed a scattering of isolated worlds into a woven, unified fabric. The hyperdrive and the hyperlane started the interstellar travel craze, the expansionist era. The majority of galactic community was located on the core worlds. So many places took the role of leader, both in culture and economy. Among them were Alsakan, Corellia, and Coruscant. In this era of social and economic development, expansion, and even colonization had become institutionalized, with companies and planets competing for resources and settlements. Corellia's plan was to head south of the core. On the other hand, Alsakan and Coruscant were the ones that competed for the same territories and the power to have cultural and industrial influence on the new planet to explore. The Republic bureaucracy couldn't be left out of galactic expansion. The increase in hyperspace travel and commerce among its members' worlds prompted the creation of the Bureau of Ships and Services, BOSS, with the aim of tracking the movement of ships and goods through space. Faced with incredible high demand for membership in the Republic, along with territorial expansion and exploration, the sectors of the galaxy became increasingly voluminous, going from a few official members' planets to dozens, even hundreds. Given this, the Rule of 50 was created, which limited the numbers of star systems in a single sector to 50. However, with such a rapid progress, this rule was forgotten, causing too much problems since there were sectors of the galaxy that included hundreds of systems, making proper control impossible. This period of colonization and territorial expansion, mainly into the slice and establishment of the expansion region in its ringward territories, was known as the Great Manifest period of the Galactic Republic. Despite the great flourish of the Republic during this time, differences between Coruscant and Alsakan became critical. Alsakan and its colonies didn't share the vision of the Republic as the authority, nor did they align themselves with the large megacorporations. They preferred to retain a more aristocratic philosophy and less bureaucracy. In addition, they wanted greater local independence. Meanwhile, Coruscant sought to expand its influence to every corner of the galaxy. However, there came a point where its corporation competed aggressively with Alsakan ideals. The signatures of each side were exemplified by two hyperroutes, the Perlemian trade route to the galactic east and the Corellian run to the south. For Coruscant's benefit, both passed through the planet. The sectors along the Perlemian were human-dominated, while the urban worlds of the Corellian run were home to many species. Disagreements against Coruscant and its ideology and influence were increasingly rejected by Alsakan and many wars in the sectors close to the Perlemian. Due to the displeasure of the worlds, amid the growing economic and political competition between the core worlds, Alsakan became the chosen one of those human-dominated sectors to be the champion of Perlemian values. The growing socioeconomic tensions, dictated by the geography of the growing republic, came to a head when Alsakan attempted to distance itself from authority by establishing small colonies in the inner rim. In turn, the great companies of Coruscant and their allies searched for raw materials. Displaced refugees came to the new Alsakan colonies to ask for a home, as the Coruscant corporations had caused destruction on their worlds. Tired of Coruscant, around 17,018 before Battle of Yavin, Alsakan led wars towards the south to blockade the great companies and also claiming resource-rich systems in the path of their expansion. The companies subjected and the severely armed freighters of Duros merchant farms clashed with the armored Alsakan warships, starting the Alsakan Conflicts. The Republic backed the merchants, turning a trade war into a shooting war. Finally, the Voss, which controlled the beacon system that both sides depended on the travel through the galaxy, forced peace and threatened to stop access to the hyperlanes if the war continued. However, this didn't stop the Alsakan side from continuing to form alliances with worlds rich in resources and raw materials and take control of them. The first Alsakan conflict and its resolution set a tone for 16 more conflicts throughout 14,000 years of history. The nobles of Alsakan and Coruscant competed for resources in the expansion region. As each conflict passed, the Republic became more and more divided. There were centuries where these clear divisions caused problems throughout the galaxy. The early conflicts saw repeated attempts to secure a decisive victory using battle fleets, but although both Coruscant and Alsakan were attacked, neither system had the military resources to divide its forces between attack and defense, and neither wished to be left defenseless. Faced this problem, a peculiar tactic arose characteristic of these conflicts. The use of squadrons of great battleships became guardians of the core, and at the same time, the use of sweet cruisers launched raids and protected colonies in the expansion region. Eventually, the conflicts grew less brutal. The periods of peace stretched longer, and after 8,000 before Battle of Yavin, new Alsakan conflicts were considered minor, almost antiquarian diversions. During the conflicts, items of historical interest were destroyed, including two of the wonders of the galaxy: Velgod's beacon, which dated even before the creation of the Republic, and the centerpiece of the Alsakan mosaics of the city of Rukapar. Conflict number 17 saw a final flare-up of all tensions. The Republic Navy had the superior industrial base to develop a fleet of fast Invincible-class battleships designed to overwhelm the Alsakan fleets. Alsakan responded with mass-produced squadrons of sub-light missiles corvettes, which successfully defended the Perlemian systems from Republic raids, but the decisive role was played by the Corellians, who responded to saber-rattling on both sides by constructing a large fleet of long-range frigates. These ships were originally designed as pickets from Corellia's own battleships, but technological breakthroughs during their construction enabled them to be fitted with fast engines, strong shields, and heavy turbolasers, rendering the massive battleships of both sides obsolete. In 3017, before Battle of Yavin, Corellian privateers inflicted dramatic defeats on squadrons at both Alsakan and Coruscant, leading the Republic to respond by declaring war on Corellia. Republic forces were rapidly outfought, and Prince Admiral Jonas E. Solo dictated a peace treaty at sword point on the floor of the Senate. The peace has held ever since.